We need to make sure that we as a community, and I think this is where a real obligation falls in this community, is not to allow us to be entrapped by those who purport to be Islamic, purport to endorse moderation, but are using just that banner as a way to funnel funds. It is a challenge, and I think this is something that the government is going to have to sort of deal with. But I think the President has been very sort of strong in some of his statements about the importance of allowing those types of contributions going to those legitimate organizations, whether they be Muslim, Hindu. Yes, you have a follow-up?
Not a cleared list, work with us directly so that we know with confidence that we can invest. Same thing with our organizations. If there's somebody who's supporting terror, we want nothing to do with them. But we need a direct conversation to know who to work with and who not to, because when you use labels like unindicted co-conspirator, we dismiss it offhand. And so we want to work with confidence with you directly to know who is and where there's legitimate evidence that someone really is or charity really is going to the wrong places, and where it's just really, quite honestly, not true, and where it's just, quite honestly being used to smear our community.
Well, the Department of Justice and Treasury are trying to work, and the pendulum that swung after 9/11, it swung very much in one direction. Swinging back, but it does take some time. I think it is still going there, but I think that engagement with the community, as you say, is critically important. Two more. This time it's really two more. This is the next to last one.
Hi, my name is Omer. I'm a graduate student at Columbia University. A couple of people brought up the issue of airport security, and I was wondering if you could elaborate a little bit more on that. We know for obvious reasons why religious and ethnic profiling doesn't work in terms of maintaining the security of our country. But I'm wondering what the conversation is right now in our government about the issue of national profiling and the new list that was introduced of countries where citizens who are from those countries can be subjected to special screening. I'm wondering whether you really believe that makes us safer. Nigeria was added to the list. Cuba's on that list. But as we know, back in 2006, more than one individual who was a British citizen was involved in plotting against the United States via transatlantic airliner. So why don't we subject all British citizens to the same kind of logic? And this is quite apart from the offense that it may, or inconvenience it may cause to people of Muslim background or who appear Muslim. And it's also beyond the issue of just looking at names that sound Muslim. So I'm wondering what the conversation is in the government about this issue and what they think will actually make us safer.
There is an ongoing and active dialogue. I've spoken with the Deputy Secretary of Homeland Security on the process that we have underway right now, as far as the review of this list of 14 countries. There are issues related to the secondary screening, the mandatory secondary screening of those 14 countries, and then there's issues about adjusting the criteria, the guidelines as needed for the watch list or no-fly lists. They're related, but they are distinct. The countries that were put on there, combination of reasons, some that are state sponsors of terrorism, some because there are still outstanding requirements as far as information sharing, as far as passenger lists, other types of things, or the security that exists within airports and enhancements that need to be made, or countries where there is a very active terrorist presence, or countries where intelligence provides us insight into where the next Umar Farouk Abdul Muttalib may come from. And again, in the overabundance of caution that, and I remember the discussions that took place, we recognized that there was going to be a fair amount of pushback. I said, okay, do I mind really receiving a lot of that criticism in those phone calls more than I mind a plane with 300 innocents plummeting to the ground? Because in the aftermath of Abdul Muttalib, we still were, concerned about others who might try that same type of attack. We enhanced security, we enhanced the number of federal air marshals on flights, but we have a layered defense, and some actions were taken. But I can assure you that this has been almost a daily conversation to move very smartly, and next time we sort of recalibrate this rheostat here on which countries and the procedures, that it's done the right way. We don't want to whipsaw people, but a lot of times when they have these types of attacks or attempted attacks, there's going to be a reflexive action, and that's where national security will be pushed up because of the concern about a potential near-term threat. Let's go over here. I haven't been there. Yes, sir. Here, and then the woman in the back, and you're the last one out there. But first we'll do the man here. I couldn't stay just up there.
Thanks so much. I think, first of all, I think we all really appreciate you being here as the first step. And the second thing is my name's Josh Martin. I worked for a few years with the American Society for Muslim Advancement on the Upper West Side. I'm also a former Israeli soldier. And I want to give you a second chance to answer the question about Israel. Because I think a lot of people are similarly feeling as I do, that the question needs a little bit of a deeper consideration. And I think, speaking for myself as well as others, I think we come here looking, first of all, I think everyone is on your side. I think everyone is a strong supporter of the new approach that Obama has brought to the office of the presidency, to the administration, and the government of the country, and the influence that America has in the world. And I've heard people in the administration as well say that the main challenge to American security and foreign policy is the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. So it is an issue of passion. And, I think we all understand that it may be a little bit unreasonable to expect from the American administration, given the political winds that exist, to withdraw any kind of support from Israel. But I think, or at least to withdraw it, in a wholesale manner, politically and ideologically. But with that said, I think I wonder to the extent that we can use certain tools in a practical way to get a stronger measure of fairness and ultimately a greater chance for resolution to the conflict by using certain tools like the withdrawal of funds as levers on Israel to change some of its political approaches. So I wonder if you could speak directly to that issue, and again, just to give you a second chance to express that, because I think we're all very disappointed in your first answer.
Well, I'm sorry I disappointed you with my first answer. I'll try again. Clearly, the Israeli-Palestinian issue is one that is at the forefront of the president's mind. It's one that he continues to work at and engages with both Palestinians and Israelis to see if we can advance. You raised the issue about using the levers that the United States has as far as assistance or whatever to move this, and I think what you're pointing toward is our being able to use these levers with Israel in terms of foreign assistance, military, economic assistance, whatever else. I've been involved in a number of different foreign policy matters over the years, including some negotiations from an intelligence standpoint and supporting those. And I think one of the ingredients of any successful movement is that the parties really need to want to move and agree to move and not be forced to move. If they're forced to move before they believe that they are ready, things will fall apart. They'll find other reasons or to not continue to advance the ball. But there is a delicate balance between being forced to move and being pressed and encouraged to move. And President Obama, I think, when he looks at these issues, he's trying to make sure that the United States can use all of its influence, all of its power of diplomacy and might, to get parties to move close together, recognizing that it's in their national security interest to do that. But if you push somebody to do it, sometimes things collapse. You need to bring not just one person or one party. You need to be able to bring a body politic. You need to bring a people forward. So I know it's sometimes easy to think that, boy, if we just, told Israel we're going to cut its aid by 50% or 25% or something and not go forward, all of a sudden it's going to sort of open up this and Israel is going to say, oh, okay, yeah, sure. No. Israel has some very, very legitimate security needs and requirements. And there are issues on the Arab and Palestinian side that need to be addressed, appropriately so. And so this is something that is not just one party. It's Israel. It's the Palestinians. It's the surrounding countries, Arab, and it's also the international community. This is a complex march. Talking about this is much more than three-dimensional chess. This is 12-dimensional chess, mahjong, backgammon, and other. There are so many different moves here. And sometimes people are frustrated. And I think the expectations, again, were very high with President Obama coming in. He has worked tirelessly to do this. And part of our conversation yesterday was addressing this issue. What are we going to be able to do? Because these are problems that continue to feed others. So, I'm sure that maybe my second answer was as disappointing as my first. But my only point is that these are complex issues that do not lend themselves to easy solutions. Otherwise, over the past, 43 years or so, we would have been further along here. But that's where the perseverance really needs to come in. Okay,